SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
State Treasurer David McRae has put hundreds of millions back into the hands of Mississippi's citizens, expanding the state's affordable college and career savings program and also returning record amounts of unclaimed money. Check out how Treasurer David McRae's office can help you, your business, or your organization. Treasury.ms.gov.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Neshoba County Fair. Today is Thursday, July 31st, the final day of the month of July. We will flip the calendar overnight tonight into tomorrow, and we're glad to be with you. Pearl, just a really, really beautiful morning. And I don't know if it's that we're starting to get used to it just a little bit. And I say we, I'm just speaking for myself here. I got to Neshoba, the Neshoba County Fair, about 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. I had talked to Alex in Houston on the way over and asked how hot it was. And, oh, Alex, she said, man, it was bad. It was bad. I didn't think it was all that bad last night. The temperature was not unbearable. It was humid, but maybe not quite as humid as it has been. And this morning, not a bad start to the day as the sun filters its way through the trees around Founders Square in anticipation of more political speeches throughout the course of the day. Love to hear from you. C Spire text line is open. 601-879-4395, 601-879-4395. Your team has you covered on the field. C Spire has you covered everywhere else with the best technology for home, work, and on the go. Backed by local 24/7 customer support. Learn more at cspire.com. C Spire, inspired by you. Lance Tolbert is not by my side, but he is on the other end of the headset. Good morning, Lance.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, it pays to be the early bird. Yeah, when you're on Founders Square. So
that
is
be
a beautiful setting. Nice little morning. Get the breakfast. Nothing's really going yet, and you get to watch everything wake up. That's the best time. Yeah.
I wonder if there are thousands of people that are here, spread across hundreds of cabins and hundreds of RV spots just across the street. And I wonder how many of these people in their everyday life are morning people. Because I don't think there are a whole lot of morning people at the fair. At least that's been my observation over the last few years that I've been fortunate enough to be here. It's an early, sleepy, quiet start around here.
It probably be a late night, too. It
is a late night for a lot of people. I don't think I made it. I know I didn't make it nearly as late as a lot of folks did last night. But it was still going strong at midnight.
When did you have to get the slippers back? Midnight, or was it after?
I put my head on the pillow about 12:15.
No, that's not bad.
12:20,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
No. But I was the first person. No, that may not be right. I was pretty close to the first person in the cabin that I was staying in that went to bed. I brought my daughter, too. Ava Montgomery had never been to the fair, and she wanted to check it out, and so she came along, and she and some buddies were getting ready to go down for the 1 a.m. hymn sing, or gospel sing, or open mic sing, or whatever, the singing that they do under the pavilion late at night, and that was getting started at 1, and I said, sweetheart, I love you. Be careful. Good night.
Yeah, you got to soar with eagles in the morning.
That's right. That's right. Mike can hoot with the owls for a little while, but there is a limit. Did you think I was crazy for saying that it was just maybe just the slightest notch? I'm not going to say cooler, but not as hot this morning, not as thick this morning. You think I'm crazy, don't you?
Yeah, they're probably they have about a layer of sweat, so it's like candy coating by now with the red dirt and the sweat. It's just a good candy coating.
Philadelphia, where I sit right now, partly cloudy today, afternoon showers or thunderstorms, which will make for, if that happens, a nice, red, muddy, goopy mess. I mean, just a mess. But the veteran fairgoers know that it's not just one pair of shoes. You got to have a pair of muck boots or some knee boots or cowboy boots or something to go along with your tennis shoes or flip-flops. So they'll be ready for that. High of 94 today. Winds light and variable. Only about a 40% chance of rain, though. Calhoun City, you're going to be partially cloudy this morning. Scattered showers, thunderstorms in the afternoon. 96 for the high. Winds light and variable. 40% chance of rain. Hattiesburg, only 93 today in the hub city, with intervals of clouds and sunshine, stray shower, thunderstorm possible. Biloxi, intervals, clouds, sunshine, stray shower possible. 91 today in Biloxi with a 10 to 15 mile an hour wind out of the southwest. And if you take a peek, Lance, at the weekend forecast, we're going to finally catch a little bit of a break. I don't think it's fair to call it a cold front. I don't even know if I'd call it a cool front.
Like 89, 90, yeah, that's winter in the summer.
From where we've been earlier this week when it was 98, 99 degrees with a heat index of 112, 113, 89 does not sound bad at all.
No.
I was just looking at a couple
I'm
of
gonna be
spots.
happy with that.
Yeah.
You got a few days.
It's really Friday all the way
week.
into Monday.
Well, it looks like it could go even into the following week with those, not the hottest temperatures, around 90. I mean, you can handle that.
We can deal with that.
Yeah, a bunch of scattered thunderstorms, it looks like, throughout, though. So,
J.K. Rowling was born on this day in 1965. Wouldn't you like to know what was going on in her head when she said, I think I want to start this series. I'll call it Potter. Harry Potter. And it will make me a billionaire. I'm guessing she didn't think that far into the future.
You never know. I mean, sometimes those, it's just they're set up to win. I mean, that one seemed like it was, the whole thing.
It's like, this has got a chance.
Yeah, this has got a chance. I mean, the development of the characters, the depth of everything, the fantasy world, the magic, it seems like it was a winner out of the gate. I mean, she probably had 4 or 5 of those books canned up, ready to go.
Maybe so.
Or at least in idea form.
Yeah. She didn't put up with a lot of mess online either. She'll quit. She's quick to tell you what's up if you try to tell her what's up. Milton Friedman, born in 1912, passed away in 2006. Nobel Prize-winning American economist, champion of free market policies, was born on this day. How about this guy? I know you love him. I know you, like, without even giving you his name, Lance, I know this is a guy you like. 1962, Wesley Snipes.
Always bet on black, man. He's my guy. I love Wesley, dude. He's one of my favorites of all time. Yeah, Passenger 57. Come on, U.S. Marshals.
Yep.
And then
White Man Can't Jump.
Oh, God.
Blade.
Man. I mean, how many? And then the remake of Dolomite, where he plays the director, which with the Eddie Murphy movie, a great job. In that, too. He's had some really good roles later in career, too, more comedic side, which I've really appreciated.
Hey, got a buddy that sent me a message, said, we may be off, Lance, on the J.K. Rowling thing.
What happened?
Thinking that it just immediately looked like it was going to be a success. Buddy of mine says 12 different publishers.
Really?
12 different publishers said no.
You got to be looking at yourself in the mirror now going, man, in your house that's not nearly as big as it could be.
You're sitting around doing a Q&A, and you have a reporter that goes, tell me about the one that got away. No, let me tell you.
You see this phone here I'm using? It could be gold, but it's not. It's just
Mark
a Samsung.
Cuban. Mark Cuban, born on this day in 1958, the billionaire serial technology entrepreneur and outspoken Democrat, one-time owner of the Dallas Mavericks, and he is the guy on Shark Tank. 1978, Zac Brown, born, Grammy-winning frontman for the Zac Brown Band, one of the best concerts I've ever been to. Last summer, Jane and I went to Nashville, and Kenny Chesney was the headliner. It was Kenny Chesney's tour. There were 2 or 3 bands. Zac Brown, though, was the one immediately. I wouldn't necessarily say they opened for him, but they were immediately before Kenny Chesney. And the group that we were with, Lance, had the same response all across the board. And it was when Zac Brown Band finished up, said, Kenny Chesney better put his big boy pants on.
Yeah, tough
because
act
that's
to
going to be
follow.
hard to top. They were great. They were great. Dean Cain, born in 1966, best known as Superman in Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, turning 59 today. If you happen to be celebrating a birthday today, we wish you a happy birthday. A wonderful day on this 31st of July. Got some stuff that happened for you on this day. We've got some news headlines, some sports headlines, an update from the Mississippi Lottery, and then starting in the 7 o'clock hour, a star-studded guest list. We'll tell you who they are coming up in just a little bit. Mornings with Richard Cross, live from the Neshoba County Fair. Back with you right after this.
From the Venable Glass Trap.
Want to know what's happening in Mississippi politics?
Yes.
You're in the right place. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
It's rare you go to a place and you say there is nowhere else on planet Earth that is quite like the place that I am right now. I think that applies to the Neshoba County Fair and the fairgrounds area. We sit on the edge of Founders Square looking out at the pavilion where about 9:30 this morning the political speeches will get going, a square that is not wrapped by or lined by streets and a courthouse, but lined by cabins all the way around its perimeter and then spreading out in different directions from where we sit. So looking straight ahead, and that would be, I got to get a compass out. I can't see the sun to quite get my directions, Lance. Hold on, I'm gonna paint the picture for you, but let me figure. Yeah, so I thought that was east. So to the east of where I am sitting, we're set up this morning, about 200 yards is the racetrack. And you got the horse races that were going. I was driving in yesterday and was transitioning from one SuperTalk station to another. And so I just kind of hit scan on the radio and went through. I found the horse radio.
Nice.
The horse races on the radio. It was caught the first race in a quarter mile length. So you got the horse track is a couple of hundred yards east of us, and they've got the big grandstand area where as soon as the horse races are done for the day, you have the infamous chair races where everybody runs out on the track and sets their lawn chairs out to get ready for the night's entertainment. Last night, 49 Winchester was here. There was a big crowd for that. And then when that music act finishes over at the grandstand, most of the people, some of the people, make their way back to Founders Square in the pavilion where there is another music act that goes until about midnight. And sometimes there's another activity that happens after that as well. Mm-hmm. And just a lot of visiting and a lot of eating and a lot of drinking and a lot of... Apparently, I learned yesterday, there used to be a fair amount of fighting that went on in the evening hours. It was a bit of a local entertainment, and then they finally decided that it got out of hand. And they put a fine structure in place that made you have to think real hard about how bad you wanted to throw that punch.
It wasn't like for money or anything, or there wasn't a ring involved.
No, it wasn't one of these bare-knuckled boxing deals. It was not anything that was sanctioned.
Okay, that was my question.
No.
It wasn't a sanctioned event.
Oh, it was, you put a lot of people in a place, and some of them are young, and you got hormones that are raging, and you mix in a little bit of alcohol and a little bit of...
Somebody looks at somebody crossways.
Yeah. You look at her, you look at him. But,
Did you say something?
And then all of a sudden, let's roll. But I was told that if you are arrested for fighting at the Neshoba County Fair, no questions asked. Doesn't matter if you started it, you finished it, you were in the middle. If you're arrested for it, $2,500 fine, flat, no negotiation, that's it. And that has made people think long and hard about whether or not they want to fisticuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, that and maybe a squatted truck fine, that'd be a rough weekend, fighting.
Why do I feel like you just hit some major stereotype?
I probably did that, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, if the shoe fits. All right, this day in 1498. 1498.
That's a while
Christopher
back.
Columbus sighted Trinidad. On his third voyage, he became the first European to discover the island that he named La Isla de Trinidad. It marked a key moment in the age of exploration. They dropped the La Isla de La in somewhere down the line. But they did go with Trinidad. 1588. Talk to it. This is the second time this week we've referenced the Spanish Armada.
Yep.
July in the late 1500s was a tough time for that once invincible Spanish Armada. The formidable Spanish fleet first appeared off the English coast, setting the stage for one of history's greatest naval confrontations. So I'm assuming it was, I guess I could dig a little deeper on this, but we're talking about the confrontation with the Royal Navy, right?
I think so, yeah. Let's
Okay.
see.
I believe that is correct. Spotted off the coast of England.
Yep.
And a big old battle.
Yeah,
There it is.
There it is.
English
right
ships sailed from Plymouth to attack the Armada.
there. Lizard
Faster,
Point.
more maneuverable, larger than the larger Spanish galleons, enabling them to fire on the Armada without loss as the Armada sailed east off the south coast of England.
You had the first sighting was near Lizard Point in Cornwall. The English fleet was then sitting around Plymouth. They were alerted and subsequently engaged the Armada and put a hurting on them.
Yeah. Daniel Defoe was placed in the pillory on this day in 1703 for publishing a satirical pamphlet. He's just trying to be a funny guy. The author of Robinson Crusoe was punished in London. But instead of enduring hostility, the crowd famously showered him with flowers. Big fans.
Yeah, the pillory is it hadn't been used in a while. The old wooden, where you put your head and hands in that. You know what that is?
Kind of a stockade looking
Yeah, and they
deal.
throw out apples and tomatoes at you all day.
Yeah. First U.S. patent was issued on this day in 1790. Samuel Hopkins, first person to get a patent in the U.S. He had a process for making potash. And that marked the institutional birth of American intellectual property protection. Chinese started stealing it in 1791, but in 1790, when you got that patent, you were safe.
For yet a year.
1964, Ranger 7 sends its first close-up images of the moon. The NASA mission transmitted detailed lunar surface photos, unprecedented clarity that paved the way for the Apollo landings.
Yeah. That's kind of weird. I mean, we've talked about, do I believe in that they did it or not? I mean, I don't know, man. It's hard to believe they got that four-wheeler up there. I don't know how that worked. I was reading about that.
Dude, it was a Honda.
Yeah.
A Honda engine never dies. They just loaded that Honda on the back of the space shuttle and off they went. I mean, come on. You of little faith, Lance.
A four-wheeled battery-powered vehicle. It could go up to 12 miles an hour. That's pretty much cruising on the moon, you'd imagine. 12, yeah.
Yeah, with no gravity.
Yeah.
So. There was a British naval tradition that ended on this day, much to the chagrin of some. This is Black Tot Day. July 31st, 1970, the final day that the Royal Navy officially issued sailors a daily rum ration.
Oh, yeah.
A symbolic end to the naval tradition.
I bet it was about a mutiny there. We're taking away your rum. What? No.
Yeah. So this is what you were pointing to. It was 1971 when Apollo 15 astronauts drove the first lunar rover.
Yeah.
David Scott, James Irwin became the first humans to ride a vehicle on the moon.
It's still,
The old
the
Honda 4-Track's got it done.
The old 4-Tracks. It's, it's still up there.
And finally, the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty was formally signed in Moscow. This was the START 1 treaty, initiating verifiable reductions in nuclear arsenals amid the Cold War's final phase. That was in 1991. Those are some of the things that have happened on this day. A couple of news headlines for you. In what Chevron described only as a fire at its refinery in Mississippi, a handful of workers who were injured during the incident are saying it was an explosion, and it happened because of negligence from the oil and gas company. Texas-based law firm Arnold and Itkin filed suit against Chevron in Harris County, Texas, where the headquarters for the company is, after 5 workers were injured July 14th in Pascagoula. Press release says that Chevron's negligence and gross negligence caused the incident and resulted in lasting harm to the plaintiffs. Alleges Chevron authorized hot work in an area where flammable gases were present, directly injecting those gases into a space where workers were ordered to operate. Ignition of the gases led to the explosion and fire and left the plaintiffs with injuries ranging from severe burns to permanent physical and psychological damage. They are seeking lost wages, medical expenses, and compensation for physical impairment, emotional trauma, and other damages. Lawsuit also seeks exemplary damages to push Chevron for what plaintiffs believe was misconduct, so that it will deter similar action in the future. Did you watch Landman? This is what they were trying to avoid. You have an accident, and you try to get to the family quickly to get that settlement process going. Write those checks. Hattiesburg man's been sentenced to 20 years in prison for aggravated assault. Christian Lee Altman was found guilty by jury last week. Before imposing the sentence, the judge called it the most serious type of case you can have without it being homicide, noting the testimony at trial established the victim would have died without the emergency medical care. The weapon, a box cutter. Sports headlines for you when we come back. Mornings with Richard Cross from the Neshoba County Fair.
From the SeabrookPaint.com.
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome to the show.
I'm a hard-working man. I wear a steel hard hat. I can ride rope, a hammer and paint, do things with my hands that most men can't. I can't get ahead no matter how hard I try. I'm getting really good at barely getting by.
Good to be with you. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi, wherever you are in the Magnolia State. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for jumping in, jumping up, grabbing that first cup of coffee, knowing that the weekend is just around the corner, alongside Lance Talbert. And I will say thank you to them, Houston and Alex. This doesn't happen without them. And it's going to be good. It's going to be a good day. And we got a lot coming up with you as we move throughout the show this morning. Scott Bounds, who is the president of the Neshoba County Fair, will start off our run of guests. We talked to him a couple of weeks ago, kind of in the lead-up to the fair. He is only a couple of days away from being able to sit back and just prop his feet up and have a big old iced tea or whatever it is he wants to unwind a bit. He will have earned it. Seems as if the fair's gone pretty smoothly so far, though, this year. Sid Salter, longtime friend and partner and at times colleague at SuperTalk Mississippi, and if If Scott Bounds is the president of the fair, it's possible that Sid is the unelected mayor or the godfather of the fair or something. He's been doing it for a long time. We'll spend some time with Sid this morning. We'll spend a little time with Bill Cork as well. You want to talk about a guy that ought to have a smile on his face when he puts his head on the pillow at night. It has been a heck of a run for MDA under Tate Reeves' administration, and I don't get the impression that they are slowing down anytime soon. So that's just a sample of what's coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. Got sports headlines for you, brought to you this morning and every morning by Pearl River Resort. Just down the road from where I sit right now, Pearl River Resort, the home of casino thrills, family fun, and live entertainment. And pretty good meals, too, right? I did not make it last night, but Houston and Alex both suggesting the dinner last night was outstanding at Pearl River Resort. You can check it all out online at pearlriverresort.com, including booking a tee time for the golf courses at dancingrabbitgolf.com. How about some baseball scores? Yeah. Last day, August, Lance, that is officially the dog days for baseball, right? The month of August. September's on the way. These first 3.5 weeks of August, that is the grind of the Major League Baseball season. Right after the trade deadline, you're either just trying to get to the finish line so you can shut it down, or you're making that push for the playoffs, or you're trying to get your roster as healthy as it can possibly be to try and go win a World Series.
Yeah. Some of these teams, you're just playing it out. But most of them still have a chance, but it diminishes quickly. If you don't play good ball in August, man, it's over.
Yeah.
So, there's a few of them that got to tune it up a little bit to stay in the hunt.
Toronto beat the Orioles yesterday 9-8, and so if the Yankees want to stay 4 games back, they've got to get it done. We'll give you their score in just a second. Detroit beat Arizona 7-2. Boston trounced Minnesota 13-1. Sox still playing pretty decent baseball. You know who's not playing good baseball? The Atlanta Braves. They get beat 1-0 by Kansas City. Took 10 innings, didn't score, couldn't get it going. Cubs over the Brew Crew 10-3. White Sox beat the Phillies. Houston over Washington. Pittsburgh 2-1 over San Francisco. That was in 10 innings in the city by the Bay. Padres blanked the Mets 5-0. Cleveland over Colorado. Yankees 5-4 over Tampa Bay. That's 2 in a row for the Yanks over the Rays. Cincinnati 5-2 over the Dodgers. And apparently it was pretty hot and pretty humid in Cincinnati because Shohei Ohtani left the game early with cramps and cramp-like symptoms, and he blamed the weather. Just too darn hot. Miami over St. Louis 2-0. Rangers beat the Angels. Athletics over Seattle. So what does that mean in terms of standings? The Toronto Blue Jays continue on top of the American League East, a 4-game lead over the Yankees, 5 games in front of the Red Sox. Tampa Bay has fallen to 9.5 back.
Yeah, when you get over to the other side, that Colorado team, man, 34.
Poor Baltimore in the cellar at 13.5 back.
Yeah, then you multiply that out, and you got Colorado at 34.5 back. I mean, come on.
That's rough.
Yeah, trade the team.
Detroit leads the AL Central 9 games in front of the Cleveland Guardians. If Donald Trump has his way, they'll once again become the Cleveland Indians.
Yay.
Mega, I believe it was.
Make the Indians great again.
We'll see if that goes anywhere. Like, there was nothing attached to the Guardians should go back to the Indians other than this is stupid and the owner loses elections. There was actually something attached to it in Washington saying the Commanders should go back to being the Redskins. That whole stadium construction thing. Astros up 5 in the American League West on the Mariners. National League, Mets in front of the Phillies by half a game. Both of them lost yesterday, so nothing changed. Brewers lead the Cubs by a game. That may be the best race in baseball right there.
Right there.
In the NL Central, and the Dodgers have a 3-game lead over the Padres. Lance was mentioning Colorado Rockies are 28-80.
Yeah. Hey, and look, when you look at Chicago, think about this, how terrible of a season they had last year. And then they're 23.5 games back now, and that's a huge improvement. I mean, when you're like looking at yourself after
you're talking about the White Sox.
Yeah, the White Sox were so bad last year. They've actually
they
improved.
won 40 this year.
Yeah, they've improved. They're only 23 and a half back.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that Colorado team, goodness gracious, 28 wins this deep, 34 and a half back. That's like, something. People are getting fired for that.
Yes, people are absolutely getting fired for that. C-Spire text line open to you, 601-879-4395. 601-879-4395. Love to hear from you. C-Spire text line, C-Spire, inspired by you. One thing you do need to know is that everybody's practicing football right now.
Yeah, I need an Obi update.
So I was not around to pick him up yesterday afternoon. I'd already come here. So this would be a 2 days ago update. Last I heard, working out at tight end. And now it's 7th grade football. When I say working out at tight end, I'm using the term very loosely and maybe a little bit of outside linebacker. So I picked him up 2 days ago. And I said, "How was practice?" He goes, "Hot." All right. Good. But you're upright. We were on the way, and he kept saying, "I'm going to die." I'm like, "You're not going to die. Shut up. You're going to be fine." And I said, "Did you get some reps in during the team stuff?" And he said, "I did." He said, "I was out there a lot today." I was like, "Great, man. That's awesome." I said, "They throw it to you?" And No, Dad, they moved me to offensive line. I was like, "Oh, really?" He said, "Yeah." I said, I was playing guard. It's like, fantastic. I said, "Man, it's your first year playing football, but if you're in the playing on the offensive line, you may get a chance to really play some because they're 7th graders and 8th graders and 9th graders all on the team."
Big mix. That's a huge difference too between 7th and 9th.
Oh, huge difference. There is no. Yes. I mean, the difference between 12-year-olds and 15/16-year-olds is massive. But man, offensive linemen. They're going to rotate those guys in and out. I love it. Yeah, and he was pretty fired up about it too.
Well, playing offensive line and having playing a little outside linebacker, maybe be a thumper, man. That boy's going to be popping folks.
We'll see. He's a big kid. So I'm when I say big kid, I don't mean like I think he's tall for his age. He's kind of hit his first pretty good growth spurt. It's one of those deals where you can. Like his body is changing on a weekly basis. Like if you saw him a week ago and you looked at him today, you're like, "Man, you've been working out a little bit, been pretty active." So it's becoming more lean as he goes through that little boy stage where the little baby pudginess starts to go away and you start to develop. We'll see. I'm pretty fired up. My
nephew. It took it hit about 15 in between 15 and 16. A lot like his dad, but he was so little and everything, and all of a sudden. He's talking, hey, Uncle Lance, hey. And then, about a week later, hey, Uncle Lance, hey, how you doing? Yeah. Like, what happened, man? I hadn't seen you in a week. So, yeah, it changes fast, doesn't it? It really does.
C-Spire text line, love the messages from you. Sistrunk says, "First fight I was ever in was at the fair." I hope that was a long time ago.
Refereed well, yeah.
Yeah, I like this one. On what show in the country could you hear 2 references to the Spanish Armada in the same week?
Yeah. With
the backdrop of the Neshoba County Fair. Amazing.
Yeah, good information in there, too. It wasn't just the Armada. We were even covering a couple of the battles for you.
Yeah. Mets made themselves the best bullpen in the league with their 2 trades yesterday, picking up Tyler Rogers and Ryan Helsley, 2 elite bullpen arms. Man, don't you love it if you are a fan of a team with an owner who has a net worth of somewhere between $15 and $20 billion, and he doesn't mind spending it?
Yeah, just write a check.
Yeah. It's the way George Steinbrenner used to be.
You got to spend money to make money.
These Steinbrenner kids won't come off the wallet. Come on, guys. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, goodness. We got a lottery update for you. We'll continue to give you the sights and the sounds from the fair, Neshoba County Fair. Quick time out. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi.
From the
Talk, Mississippi, your state. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
news and I got bad news, Lance.
What you got?
The bad news is I did not win the Powerball last night. Good news is neither did anybody else, and so we'll re-rack them and try again on Saturday.
Well, I mean, when you win it, I'm hoping it's close to $1 billion, so you can chisel off a little more on the agreed amount you were going to give me. So I mean, 400 million. If billion, I'll get more. So yeah, I'm good. I can
410 million is the new jackpot number for the drawing on Saturday, August 2nd. The estimated cash value $184,900,000. I was sitting in the kitchen at the Mayo cabin last night at the fair, and I just happened to look at my watch at like 9:58. I was like, guys, I don't mean to interrupt the conversation, but about 3 minutes from now, the world may change dramatically. They're like, what are you talking about? I was like, in my hand, I have this Powerball ticket. Yeah. They just started laughing at me like, well, let's check the numbers. Sorry, Richard. Yeah, those are the breaks. Those are the breaks. Mega Millions Friday night drawing, $140 million cash value on that, $62 million. New games debuting from the Mississippi Lottery in just a few days. Next week, August 5th, shifting into high gear this August with the release of new scratch-off games featuring Cool Cash and classic cars. Cash on the Spot. That's the fast and fun $1 game with prizes up to $5,000. Cruising the Coast 2025 edition, $2 ticket, celebrating Mississippi's legendary Gulf Coast car event, 4 classic car designs, prizes up to $25,000. And then there's Break the Bank, a $5 ticket loaded with chances to win $100,000. By the way, Cruising the Coast roll set for October 5th through the 12th on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and the Mississippi Lottery team will be there. And let's see here. Featured Coast retailers that week. And you can collect every ticket in the design. So have a little bit of fun with that. Had winners in the final sizzling Summer Cash bonus promo yesterday. $25,000 winner from Reform, Alabama. Well, that means they've got to move to Mississippi. Can't be winning the prize and you don't live in the state. Though we do appreciate you buying your lottery ticket living here. Or while you were here. $15,000 winner from Brookhaven. $10,000 winner from York, Alabama. $5,000 winner out of Jackson. $1,000 winner from Gulfport. Had $500 winners from Liberty, Gloucester, Belden, Leakesville. Second winner from Gulfport as well. That was the grand finale of the sizzling Summer Cash bonus drawings. Congratulations to all the winners, and smart on you, all of you that played on the second chance drawings. And then finally, an Olive Branch man won $50,000 on a ticket from Star 24 Travel Plaza in Olive Branch. That was on a $20 scratch off that 200X Cash Blitz. Good stuff.
Money. It's always good.
I feel like it
would
have.
Economy.
Even Lance, if I had won last night, I feel like it would have left you guys in a really tough spot if I had just bailed.
Yeah,
I'd like
definitely.
to leave my friends hanging, so I think I still would have gotten up early this morning.
I hope so.
I don't know that I ever would have been able to go to sleep last night.
I hope you'd had that big check with you, just sitting right beside you, though. Like all the guests today would have to see it and be like, man, Richard.
You can't get the check that fast. Right? I mean, if I'd won it, if I'd won at 10 o'clock last night, I could not have had the check beside me today. My quandary would have been, how do I protect the ticket?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go get it laminated. There's got to be like a 24/7 print shop around there where you could have had your own check printed and your ticket laminated. Yeah.
Well, I guess I would have. I probably would have had somebody video me signing it, and I would have taken a picture of it front and back, and then I probably would have had to offer payment to them to keep their silence. Like I wouldn't want a bunch of people to know, but there were a lot of people milling about last night.
Yeah,
I'm afraid it would have gotten out.
You weren't going to stand in Founders Square going, is anybody a lawyer around here? I'm going to set up a trust fund.
Yeah, it would have been hard to do that. Somebody says I wouldn't tell a soul. I agree.
Yeah, I wouldn't tell anybody.
Like that is absolutely my strategy. I wouldn't tell anybody. Although I love the line that goes, I wouldn't say anything to anybody, but there would be signs. It would be evident. No, I completely agree. I don't want to tell a bunch of people, especially not right out of the gate. But if you happen to be a winner and you're looking at the ticket, are you going to be able to no-sell it to everybody around you? There's got to be at least a fist bump or something.
Yeah, you'd be
they're going to be like,
deadpanning
what's
it.
up? What you got over there?
I'll win $20. Yeah, I can get another ticket.
Yeah. It's like, doggone it, I was close. I didn't match the Powerball, though, so that'll give me a couple more. All right. I'm going to bed, guys. See you all in the morning.
And then can't sleep all night.
Yeah, exactly. Mornings with Richard Cross, daydreaming, fantasizing, and hanging out at the Neshoba County Fair. Scott Bounds will join me on the other side of the news. We will talk all things NCF with you next.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
From the White House to your hometown, this is where you find out what's happening. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
You hear "Hail to the Chief"? When the president shows up, you get "Hail to the Chief," and we got the president this morning.
Y'all need to get off that.
Well, that's that is Lance doing his thing, and
good
Scott,
morning.
We have to amuse ourselves a little bit, also.
Yeah. Hey, good morning, Lance.
Good morning, Scott Knows No Bounds. How's it going up there? I've heard it's been a great fair. I'm sure you have had nothing to do with that, have you?
Well, no, it's been a good fair. We got, as my daddy used to say, we got it by the tail in a downhill drag now, though. So
yeah, that's nothing to it now.
This hour of Mornings with Richard Cross brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough, and if you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you're not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can provide a full range of employer services plus a custom plan that fits you. Give them a call today, 601-206-7966, or go to MWGEmployerServices.com. The C-Spire text line is open to you, 601-879-4395. The best teams know how to get even better. That's why C-Spire constantly enhances their wireless fiber internet and business solutions for you. Visit cspire.com today. C-Spire, inspired by you. Scott Bounds is my guest. He is a state representative, District 44, longtime fair participant. He is the president of the Neshoba County Fair, and I was here for the nighttime activities last night for the first time. I've been 4 or 5 times, always in the day, and so a little bit different perspective being here in the evening. But driving in, I was saying earlier, I was between SuperTalk signals and was kind of doing a scan on the radios. I was transitioning, and I found the horse racing on the radio yesterday afternoon.
Absolutely.
So caught the first quarter-mile race.
There you go. Yeah,
I think it was only a 3-horse race.
Yeah, so our local radio station, they've been a partner in the fair for almost 80 years. Here. Local radio station, WHOC, WWSL, but they broadcast a lot of things from down here. Horse racing is one, and you really. People would be amazed at how many people listen to that on the radio. They really do, Richard, and listen to the horse races and listen to different things that we have going on down here. And so, you probably picked up 103.3 out of Meridian is y'all SuperTalk affiliate out there.
I believe that is correct.
But yeah, so this is your first time to spend the night down here.
It was, and I did not stay up nearly as late as some.
I got you.
I think I put my head on the pillow 12:30-ish, a little after midnight.
Oh, man, that's rookie.
I know. Well, I understand that, but I knew that the alarm was going off at the same time, regardless of when I put my head on the pillow. And
I get it. You're a smart man.
Yeah. You know what was cool for me was I brought my daughter. My 15-year-old daughter, she'd never been before and wanted to come along, and my friends that have got a place here graciously said, yeah, we got room, bring her on. And it was cool to get her, to watch her kind of see everything for the first time, and she had a blast. But I kind of made a loop around, I don't know, about 11 o'clock last night. The band was going out here. They finished the concert over at the grandstand, had the Founder Square concert going last night, and it was cool to see how many little kids at 11 o'clock were out, and it might as well have been daylight.
Sure.
Footballs, cornhole boards, running around, having a big time.
We get the question a lot, Richard, what's the attendance of the fair? And we know how many tickets we sell, but we really don't know how many people are out here because we don't charge admission for kids 10 and under.
Okay.
And there are just boot-hoodles of kids running around. So we don't really know what a number is of people that's on the grounds at any time. I mean, we can take the cabins and get an average number of people and multiply that out. But is that what's on the grounds? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. But it is. This is a. I will say, and we will say that I will say that kids have a great time out here, and we. It's funny to see a kid walking around with a number on his arm, and it's like a number 11. That means he's at cabin number 11. If he gets separated, take him to cabin number 11.
and it is kind of like a community raising of the kids, right?
Yeah,
it's like this kid's lost their crying. Hey, where do you need to be? How do I help you get there?
That's right. Yeah, but to watch the kids, they play in the sawdust, and look, when it rains, those kids getting down there on the racetrack and having those mud fights and sliding in the mud and getting in the ditch like kids do. It's just amazing to watch them. And I'm sitting on my porch. I'm on the track, and we don't get showers down here. We get delusions. When it rains, it rains. And
not just a little bit, just a little sprinkle to settle the dust.
No. And but kids get out on that racetrack and just have a big time. We are, as I said earlier, we got it by the tail in the downhill drag now. This is Thursday of the fair. The fair ends at midnight tomorrow night, but we've got 2 big days ahead of us today.
On the radio, I heard them calling it Black Saturday.
Yeah.
The day that everybody goes home, and they recommended finding a dark, cold room
That's
and a
right.
Netflix series. It just
so
I've done enough inside, outside.
So I tell you what I do is tradition for me. I'll move back home Saturday morning. My wife and I will shut our cabin down and clean up for the most part. And then I'll get home and unload. I got to cut grass. Hadn't been on the lawnmower in a week and a half, and then I'll, we'll order pizza or something that night, and I'll turn the air down, and I'll get in my recliner, and I'll turn on last year's football games on ESPN or something. And I went, okay, all right, another cycle in life.
It's funny you say that, because we mark things on the calendar as, all right, now it's time to think about this. I mean, I don't know when you – I know there's work that has to be done for legislators throughout the year. But at some point, your brain has to shift into, we're about to go back into session.
Yeah, it'll be I'm not going to tell a story. I'm going to take next week off and may go to the beach or something. I don't know, just to sort of clear my brain, get the red dust out of my nostrils, and but yeah, about the middle of August. I mean, really, I was talking to some of my colleagues in the House and Senate that were here yesterday, and we're beginning. Our mindset is beginning to look toward January, and we'll hear today, of course. Second day of political speaking today, we'll hear some things from some of the state officials today that we may have on the agenda on the plate come January. So.
Anything that you heard in the speeches yesterday? Was there a headline grabber? I mean, obviously, Lieutenant Governor spoke yesterday, and that was probably in terms of name, the biggest name that spoke yesterday.
Yeah, right.
Of course, the governor will be here this afternoon.
The governor will be here. Speaker White will be here today. I'm trying to think. Michael Watson, Secretary of State, Commissioner of Transportation Willie Simmons. We got a pretty full lineup this morning. Treasury, yeah.
David McRae going to be here as well.
David McRae, that's right.
I bumped into Stephen Kilgore, who's the local district attorney yesterday. He and I were in school together. I said, I was looking at the speaking list. I said, were you this morning or are you tomorrow? He goes, I was this morning. I said, doggone it, I missed it. He said, well, I don't know the last time I missed your radio show, and yet you missed me speak. I said, I don't believe you.
Stephen spoke, and then Lane Taylor, our newly elected senator, spoke. Then I spoke yesterday, and Stephen and I were backstage before we went on, and we're the local guys, and people don't – I don't know, but Stephen said, hey, Scott, he said, we could probably swap speeches. And people wouldn't know.
Nobody would know the difference. Oh, that's good.
So anyway, good. But yeah, political speaking, we're going to have a real big day today. We are anticipating good crowds here today on Founders Square. I think political speaking kicks off at 9 o'clock, I think, maybe 9:20. But we'll have a good day today. Governor Reeves will be here. But in regard to what I'm going to be honest with you, I was backstage yesterday and dealing with some other stuff that I really didn't get to hear all of what the lieutenant governor said. I think he threw out some things that he said he would like to do in the 2026 session. I think a tax rebate was one of them. I don't know the intricacies of his plan, so I haven't had a chance to look at it or anything like that.
Discussion about a teacher pay raise.
Yeah, teacher pay raise, and so I know that the House, and I know that the House, in conversations I've had, I think the House will be looking at some school choice.
You
thing.
think? You think that might be on the agenda next year?
Well, I think so. We've had it on the agenda for a couple of years, anyway. We'll see how that goes. I'll look for.
House is going to want to spend some of that money too, right?
The House,
some of those special projects that didn't get funded.
Yeah, there are some infrastructure projects that communities need around the state that are going deferred maintenance on our universities and colleges, buildings, and things like that. We're going to, and got to remember, Richard, you know this, and the audience knows this. This is that money that is sitting there in our cash reserves, which we have accumulated through good fiscal policy. It's not our money. It's y'all's money. It's the taxpayers' money. And the taxpayers need to get the benefit of that. Do we need to keep the state in a fiscally sound position? Absolutely we do. Mm-hmm. Absolutely we do. But we don't need to hoard money back when our statutory savings accounts are full. We need to get that money put back in the state on much-needed infrastructure projects, whether it be roads and bridges or whatever, in the communities around the state.
Hope the final 48 hours or so of the fair is outstanding for you. Always appreciate you having us.
Yes, sir.
The Neshoba County Fair is growing on me.
Good. We're glad you're here. Glad you had your first night here.
We're back right after this.
From the Bendable Glass Traffic.
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
And the room filled up with law. They came pounding through the back door in the middle of the song.
Houston is adjusting the tents, trying to keep the sun just right so the picture on SuperTalk TV is good for you. As we roll on from the Neshoba County Fair, nearing 7:30 on this Thursday morning, the penultimate day of the 2025 Neshoba County Fair. Great visit with Scott Bounds. Scott, penultimate means the day before the last day. Is that not what it means, Sid? It's not what it means. Sid's going to correct me. Is this not the penultimate day?
Well,
no,
it's close enough for government work. Let's try that.
Well, if it closes on Friday and today's Thursday and this is the next to the last. No, just correct me.
I'm going to go with you. Let's roll on.
He's trying to be nice, Lance. I don't want to be wrong. If you don't correct me,
never
somebody
wrong.
on the C-Spire text line's going to.
Wrong. Richard Cross, wrong.
Yeah, he's never wrong, Sid. Yeah.
You're good. Let's go.
Here we go.
Let's go.
Here we go. What'd you hear yesterday from the speakers in the first day of political speaking that caught your ear?
Well, I think Commissioner Gibson, if there was any doubt, removed the doubt of his intentions at this point. But I thought Lieutenant Governor Hoseman had the most consequential statewide speech yesterday. And, you know, there were some items that the legislature could not reach agreement on during the session this year.
I heard about that.
Yeah, and there are folks that have a lot of feelings about that. Folks that got left out of the funding process or got less than they were hoping for, and so I think they were hanging on a lot of Governor Hoseman's thoughts in that regard. And as I heard Scott say, the House has in some ways a different agenda, and so as it was this year, the legislature is going to see its actions dictated by not by outside forces battling with the legislature, but with the folks across the building. And so reaching consensus is always difficult, but I thought that was the most consequential speech yesterday. For those that were looking to handicap the horse race in the next gubernatorial campaign, I don't think they actually learned anything new yesterday.
I would agree with that, I think. Penultimate. Last but one in a series of things. Second last. If this is the day before the last day of the fair, doesn't that make this the penultimate day of the fair?
Yes, sir, it does.
He is refusing to engage with me. The second we go commercial break, Sid's going to be like, let me explain this to you, Richard. Here's what
I thought you were cussing. I didn't know what you were.
Scott jumped back in. I was thinking about the fact that I don't know if you know this about Speaker Jason White, but he will occasionally kind of lob a grenade or throw a barb. Do you think when he speaks today there's a chance that there is a barb or two that is tossed with regard to money that wasn't spent and an apology for the bridge that isn't going to be fixed or the light that's not going to be replaced because the money got held up?
I learned a long time ago not to forecast what politicians are going to say, but I would not be at all surprised if that didn't happen today.
Scott, would you care to do any forecasting on that front?
I want to keep my chairmanship of Appropriations. Jason's my friend.
I sent the speaker a text yesterday. I said I was disappointed to see that he wasn't going to be joining me on the radio, and I hope that at some point he would see fit to join mornings as opposed to waiting to visit with Gerard later in the day, which I think is what's going to happen again. But that's all right. I'm not upset about that.
I would not be surprised if that didn't take place during his speech.
You mentioned something. You said the horse race, the gubernatorial horse race, we didn't get much clarity in terms of candidates. I have opined about this, and I don't know how far down this road you will go. How big do you think the field of candidates is going to be that are actually going to declare that they are running when we're sitting here a year from right now for the Republican primary?
4 maybe tops, but the elephant in the room is whether or not Tom Duff enters the race. That would reshuffle the deck in many ways, primarily.
A bunch of signs with his name on it around here, but They say Duff Political Action Committee. It's Duff PAC. It's not Duff the candidate.
Well, he followed suit on a lot of more established politicians who, their signs say so-and-so for Mississippi rather than for a specific office. So that, that's become part of the game. But, not since Mike Sturdivant have you had a candidate who could enter the race and hold a fundraiser at breakfast. He can interject his own wealth into the race. So that is a different animal, and there's already a populist candidate in Andy Gibson out there. If Duff took the role as a businessman candidate, and I'm personas and types of candidates. You go down the list last 8
Forgive
terms.
me for interrupting, but you bringing up Andy Gibson's name right there, it's really, really early. And I heard somebody say it's hard to remember the last time somebody won an 800-day campaign. Why so early?
I think there is risk and reward in kind of declaring early, and particularly if you're in fundraising mode. And it would seem to me that Commissioner Gibson, he's got name recognition, he's got a certain following. If there is a chink in the armor, it's campaign finance, and so there is a certain risk reward for declaring early. It also tells other players that, okay, we've got this to contend with. So it is early, and I don't, nothing really would surprise me at this point, but probably the biggest factor that would affect others, Lieutenant Governor Hoseman, others, if Tom Duff enters the race. And so that's the great unknown at this point. Once that is known, you will see people filling positions, formally to get in the race.
Yeah.
And then, as we know in Mississippi, and particularly here at Neshoba, then there are those who get in the race for no apparent reason. So,
they just want one of these coveted speaking spots and let the voice be heard. How hard is it to get out of politics, elected office, and then get back in? Talking about the former Speaker of the House, Philip Gunn, whose name has been more than whispered around these parts over the last few days.
Well, it is difficult, but Speaker Gunn would be a formidable candidate if he can pull the other stars into alignment. There are some candidates who have kind of been at this from a fundraising standpoint, but I don't underestimate Philip Gunn. He's got a very winning style, and so. Like I say, it's early to start handicapping, and
right.
I've had a half dozen people say, who's the lead dog, and I can't answer that question. I don't think Scott
don't know which dogs are going to be in the race for sure yet.
No, you don't. And I I'm the same way around here locally. I get asked, who do we need to support for governor? I'm going, look, everybody's going to be in the race. Friends of mine, I don't know Tommy Duff personally, but the ones that are rumored to maybe running or have announced that they are going to run, they're friends of mine. But I'm like Sid, it's hard to handicap 2 years out, year and a half out.
A name that we didn't bring up that a lot of people are talking about is the Attorney General, who think that Lynn Fitch is going to enter the race as well. But here's one of the really fascinating things to me about a lot of these names that we've talked about. You've got a bunch of people who are either rumored to run or likely going to run that have never lost a political campaign in their lives. And if you put all of them in the same race, somebody's going to lose. Multiple somebodies are going to lose.
Well, and Scott grew up in the same place I did here. There's the old saying, there's Methodist preachers and SEC football coaches. It's not if they get fired, it's when. So, same thing with losing political races. If you run long enough, you're going to lose.
Yeah, that's right.
That seems like as good a place to leave it as any. Sid Salter. So if Scott Bounds is the president, I don't know if you're the mayor, the godfather, or
my normal role. I clean up after the parade goes by.
That is fair. Well, you got some others that are helping with cleanup this morning. Paul Hall in the big trailer. MRC on Super Talk. We're back right after this.
From the Seabrook Paint.
Segment of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Good morning, everybody. Time to wake up.
Time to shine! Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
When you come to a place like the Neshoba County Fair, sometimes you learn things. I'm not taking you down the road you think I'm taking you down. You learn things like Bill Cork has something in his closet other than a suit and a tie. I've never seen him in anything else.
You were reading my mind. I was going to say the exact same thing.
I mean, if you thought I was about to drop a bunch of scoop on who's going to be governor and what the rumors are, I'm sorry to disappoint you. I learned that Bill Clark owns shirts that don't require a tie this morning. Executive Director, Mississippi Development Authority. Bill, I said earlier, I don't know that there's anybody that is on this property that ought to have a bigger smile on their face when they put their head on the pillow at night than you do, given the way the last year or couple of years, or if you want to expand a little farther, 5 years have gone at MDA in terms of what is coming to the state of Mississippi and these announcements that are just one after the next after the next.
It's a lot of fun. There's no doubt about it.
Good morning, by the way.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, and I got shorts on too, Richard.
How about
in
that?
addition to that casual shirt.
I wasn't going to throw you under the bus on that. But
It's been a great 5 years under Governor Tate Reeves, but I got to tell you, I've been to the Neshoba County Fair. I think this is my 4th or 5th time, and I have never been out here this early in the morning, and it is absolutely magical.
Isn't
this
it
time
neat?
of day? Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about it a little while ago. Even if you go to the beach and you get up early, there are a lot of people that get up. They go for a run or they're out exercising or whatever. There's not a lot that's happening before 8 a.m. in and around Founders Square. But in the next hour, this place is really going to come to life.
It is. It's nice and cool out here. You see the garbage getting picked up and people cleaning up and people walking around with coffee and just getting over the hangover from last night, because it was wild here last night for sure.
It was a big night with the concert over at the grandstand, and then it moves to Founders Square, and then it moves to wherever the party goes until a little bit later. You're in the United States, which is not always the case these days. Travel-wise, where have you been? Where are you headed?
Well, since I saw you last, I was in Paris, France, at the Paris Air Show, and then we had a team go into Central Europe to work on recruitment there, and then I went down to Morocco. And people ask me, why did you go to Morocco? What the heck has Morocco got to do with Mississippi? And it's a friction-free environment with all these tariffs. They're one of the few countries in the world that has a 26-year-old free trade agreement with the United States. And we only slapped 10% tariffs on them. So it was one of the places we could take Mississippi companies to try to sell our wares while we're going through all the transition here with the global trade environment.
You know, in your line of work, you know that announcing a deal is not the same as getting to the finish line and seeing that deal go into fruition. You want them to all work that way. I feel like that's kind of been the case with some of these tariff announcements as well. You get the big one about the European Union, and then you're like, yeah, but they got to get all the I's dotted and all the T's crossed, and you know all of the countries within the EU have got to sign off and officially agree to it. What does that European Union trade work or framework of that agreement look like with no tariffs for American products going into that part of the world?
Well, what a lot of people don't understand is that many countries in the world have what they call a value-added tax, which is essentially a tariff. It's paid at the port of entry when our goods go into those markets. Mm-hmm. And globally, that value-added tax has been ascended. We've seen it come in more countries, and that tax is getting higher and higher. That's paid in addition to any tariffs that might be out there. So, for example, Denmark has a 25% value-added tax. That's about 20% across the European Union. So even though their tariffs are low, essentially their sales tax or their consumption tax at the border is 20 to 25%. Now, that compares with what we pay here in Mississippi as a sales tax at 8% or so with local add-ons. It's higher in California, 12%. But the average sales tax, state sales tax across the United States is 7%. So when you hear somebody like Donald Trump say, we're going to slap a 15% tariff on you, what he's really trying to do is normalize the difference between the point of entry sales tax and the current U.S. tax. It creates a more balanced playing field. So he's using tariffs to do that.
So is explaining that to the American public too complicated?
I think they've tried to keep the message simple, but those of us who've been in this business a long time know that that's been a challenge for American exporters into these markets. When we do foreign trade, missions like we did to both Europe and Morocco recently, we take Mississippi companies with us. And one of the things we do when we enter the country is we do a briefing with our company CEOs on the legal and tax environment in those countries, and we explain all the trade barriers they're going to have to go through and all the hurdles they're going to have to jump through to do that. And then when we bring foreign companies to the United States, I do those briefings for the foreign companies. So we have a very good handle on how imbalanced the global trade relationship is. If you're for, sort of unfettered free trade, you have to also be for fair trade. And I think that is what our administration is trying to get to, is level that playing field across the world for U.S. companies so we can compete fairly in places that have these tax and non-monetary trade barriers.
Is the environment better today than it was 6 months ago?
I think it's getting better. Now, the challenge here is that it's not all done. We hear these announcements, but
so that's the finish line I was talking about.
You've got to get across the finish line. The final agreements are going to determine what the actual deal is, but our companies, we've never had a bigger pipeline of prospects, Richard. We've got over $100 billion in capital investment and over 45,000 jobs in our pipeline today, probably well over a third of those
in Mississippi
looking at us right now. Our project managers don't sleep. They're working these deals. But what I will tell you is a lot of these foreign companies that are looking to come into the United States are very aggressively trying to find a spot to land, but they're putting their decisions on pause until all of this uncertainty unravels. So there is an impact to our recruitment activities with what's going on. But I think most people are pretty optimistic it's going to work itself out.
All right, so whether in your line of business across the world, across the board, in terms of recruiting businesses, economic development leadership, or specific to Mississippi, but I think a broader, what's the close rate? So for the people that use Salesforce as their sales pipeline, you put in leads and then you put in prospects and then updates along the way, and then there's like a calculation where it shows you what your closing rate is. So if you've got potentially $100 billion and 45,000 jobs in the pipeline, what's the close rate for that?
Well, it depends on the stage of the prospect. So we look at it by, early leads. If we're in a competition with 22 states, you've got a 1 in 22 chance.
So you're not putting that in that potential $100 billion number?
No, those are all in the $100 billion. And then it goes through the pipeline and filters down. If we know that we're in a top 2 or 3 and we know the other states that we're competing with, we are an odds-on favorite to win, because I think we wouldn't get that far if they really didn't like us. And I know we're already the most affordable place in America to do business, and we've got one of the best business climates. The only thing that would stop us from winning is if there's something beyond our control, like things like logistics advantages that another location may have that we don't have, or they're close to a raw material, or they're close to a customer.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things that you can't control for, but when it comes to getting to that semifinalist phase, we rarely lose those projects.
What state is your biggest rival at this point? Or maybe I should say biggest competition. Rival's probably not the right word. And I would almost exclude, like, if Texas was going to be your answer, I'd be like, hold on, now Texas is a different animal. Georgia's a different animal.
I'm going to tell you right now, the state that I fear the most is Arkansas.
If before you answered, you had said, hey, guess what my answer to this is going to be? Arkansas is what I would have said.
I follow Arkansas very, very carefully. Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi are always neck and neck on projects. We're always looked at for projects. But the sleeper cell in the central and deep south is Arkansas. You got to watch out for them. They've got a great governor who's a good friend of my boss.
Yeah.
Their economic developer up there, Clint O'Neill, is one of the best in the industry. He's just a quiet, hardworking guy. And, in fact, I've been invited up there to speak at their economic development conference in a couple of weeks, not to talk about our competitive advantages and disadvantages, but to help advise how we can work together more in regionalization to capture more work.
Wow.
Because sometimes it's better to beat them. You got to join them, in order to kind of keep that momentum going. So they're the sleeper cell, Richard. You got to watch out for Arkansas.
Well, and is it as simple as the advantage being Walmart and all the suppliers are there and they can point to successes, or is it more about leadership within the state and a really concentrated focus on being successful within this economic development game?
Well, economic development is not rocket science, but it is a science. And the states that have figured it out, things like product development that we figured out 5 years ago and started to develop, new industrial park space and, working on our workforce development and our talent attraction strategies. And being small has its advantages. And Arkansas has sort of the same profile in terms of leadership, conservative business philosophy, and they're starting to get after it and catch up to us in some of these other areas. So they're the ones to watch, but we're still going to win, Richard. That's the plan.
A lot of winning for the state of Mississippi. Can you hang with me through the break and us visit just for a couple more minutes?
Be glad to.
A little bit more. What industries are MDA and Bill Cork's office targeting? We know he can't tell us specific companies. We've seen automobile industries, we've seen aluminum, we've seen manufacturing, we've seen technology. What's the industry that makes the most sense? We'll address that when we come back and wrap up the 7 o'clock hour live from the Neshoba County Fair. We are in Founders Square. Glad to be with you. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
And y'all know they won't.
From the Venable Glass
Jackson 97.3.
Good morning, America. How are you?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Well, my daddy never wrote in the old famous country songs. Papa never stayed out raising hell with the Haggard Jones.
We get closer to 8 o'clock, and we see a little bit more activity looking across Founders Square. Folks kind of starting to wrestle around and maybe make it out to the front porch with a cup of coffee in hand on what is a beautiful last day of the month of July. And what I stand by, the fact, is the penultimate day of the Neshoba County Fair.
Don't cuss at me, Richard.
Does your definition of penultimate differ from mine?
No, it should be the ultimate second of the last day.
Yeah, it's the second to the last. I still don't. Sid might be too smart for his own good.
I had a politician tell me one time after I gave a speech to the Chamber of Commerce. He said, I asked him how I did. It was my first speech in front of this particular Chamber of Commerce, and he says, you're pretty smart, son, but you got to use shorter words and shorter sentences.
Too many big words. That's right. Bill Cork's my guest, Executive Director, Mississippi Development Authority. We've talked with Bill. We've talked about Bill a lot over the whatever time frame you want to talk about because of all of the economic announcements. Skip Skaggs was on with me yesterday from the Automobile Manufacturers Association, and I asked him about the possibility of another car manufacturer in Mississippi, and he kind of paused and thought about that for a second, and he said maybe, maybe there's room for another here in Mississippi, and then he said, maybe a couple more. So the answer kind of moved a little bit, but when you talk about capacity and workforce, all of those things factor in. So we've seen a variety of industries, right, from automobile to steel and aluminum and all of the things that are happening in the Golden Triangle. Obviously, with the Amazon project, there's now the technology space and some artificial intelligence stuff that's happening on the coast. What's the industry that makes the most sense at this point?
Our bread and butter is forest products. I mean, we're 80% covered in forests, and that's one of our natural resource advantages. There's another thing I think we're going to start hearing a lot more about, Richard, which people don't understand, which is we are literally sitting on top of one of the largest lithium deposits in the United States. There's a giant geological formation that's what they call it a Smackover Formation that starts over in the Oklahoma, northeast Texas, and then through Arkansas, northern Louisiana, and then it comes all the way through northern Mississippi and straight down to the Florida Panhandle. So we are.
Wait, do I need to go buy land over the lithium?
I'm telling you, you're going to be hearing a lot more about lithium in Mississippi before it's over with. So, one of the things we're very blessed with is abundant natural resources. We were one of the largest producers of frac sand for the sand for the fracking industry. Right. We've got great logistics to support these kind of major operations. the technology for this kind of mining is really interesting. You know, we're sitting on top of a bunch of underground salt domes, and these salt domes contain this brine water, and that brine water, that brackish brine water underground, actually contains a whole bunch of concentrated lithium. So we're trying to figure out ways to be part of the whole new electrical generation, batteries, that sort of thing, that require these types of technologies and these kind of raw materials. So things you just don't think about, and most Mississippians don't understand, is look out. Now, I understand when I mention lithium mining, people are going to Google that, and they're going to see these big giant strip mines in Argentina and Indonesia. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is more like an oil and gas type of business where they drill wells and bring this stuff out and process it. So it's a totally different technology. But yeah, these are some of the things that we have on the horizon for Mississippi. You mentioned autos, and I'll tell you, we in the 5 years I've been at MDA, we've bid on multiple auto projects for Mississippi.
Yeah. So you think there's capacity for more?
Oh yeah, there's definitely capacity for more. In fact, we were semifinalists for the VW Scout that selected South Carolina, which is kind of that old throwback vehicle to the old Scout. And it was an all-electric vehicle. That got a little rich for us. Marshall County was a down-selected site for that. We were actually the number one site, physically and with the workforce and everything. But South Carolina bought that project for about $600 million more than we were going to pay for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons we aren't buying projects, Richard. You know, I mean, there's just a lot of deals. When you talked about the win rate, there's a lot of deals we get to the finish line, and they just get too rich. And we've got a governor that just isn't going to bankrupt the state to go chase a headline.
Are you encouraged, as we mention Link all the time, right? Mm-hmm. Golden Triangle and what they've done. It appears that more of that is happening in Mississippi, that there are some counties that are creating regional networks. Are you encouraged by local areas that are coming together to try and make themselves more suitable to host these projects?
I think the regionalization really needs to be about a coalition of the willing. You have to have willing participants to make regionalization work. But what I will tell you is that customers that we talk to don't recognize our arbitrary political boundaries. They know that it's the coast, or they know that it's the Memphis area. They know that it's the Jackson Metro, the Mississippi Delta. They couldn't find Washington County on a map, but they do understand the regions. And if you're trying to sell real estate, you need to sell it and brand it in a way that people understand.
That's interesting. And the conversation may not be any more important, or maybe important anywhere more than it is on the Mississippi coast. Thanks so much for your time, Bill.
Appreciate it, Richard. Thanks for having me.
8 o'clock hour is next.
Good morning. Good morning to you there.
Okay, up and at 'em. Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
My apologies if we've been a little light on your messages this morning on the C Spire text line. I promise we are checking them. 601-879-4395. 601-879-4395. The best teams know how to get even better. That's why C Spire constantly enhances their wireless fiber internet and business solutions for you. Visit cspire.com today. C Spire, inspired by you. We are only an hour away, or a little less than an hour away, from the political speeches beginning this morning under the pavilion in Founders Square as the Neshoba County Fair is waking up to a beautiful Thursday morning on this last day of the month of July 31st, 2025. This is Mornings with Richard Cross. I'm glad to be with you. Lance is in the studio, and Kenny Griffis joins me now. He is Mississippi Supreme Court Justice, District 1, Place 1. If you have trouble remembering what that means, it's okay. So do I. And Kenny Griffis might some days also. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for stopping by.
Absolutely. It's great to be here.
So this is not an election year, and I'm always so intrigued by the judicial races. They are nonpartisan races, and I feel like I should do like the air quotes, nonpartisan races. But it's very clear that there's, based on who supports you, kind of what that means. It is unique. It makes sense that judicial races are nonpartisan, but is that a a bygone idea at this point?
Well, Richard, if you go back to Mississippi's history, and I hate to bore you with this and your listeners with this, but if you go back to our constitutions in the 1800s, we had these people called the whole hogs and the half hogs. And the whole hogs were Jacksonian. They wanted to elect all of our judges. The half hogs said, we want to elect our trial judges and we want to appoint our appellate judges. Well, the Jacksonian idea prevailed in Mississippi, and we said we want to elect. If you really think about it, the difference between an election and appointment is really the size of the electorate. Where if I were to be appointed to a federal position, it takes one person, the President of the United States, to make that appointment. Instead, I'm in a district with about 1 million Mississippians, and 400,000 voted in my last election. And so I've got to go to more people. And in my view, there's nothing wrong with, I've seen the good and the bad, there's nothing wrong with me reaching out to people and talking about who I am. And I can do that without making promises. I can do that without kind of making people feel the judiciary is a already decided game.
Yeah.
We talk about different things. We talk about fairness. We talk about rules. A lot of what we do is we manage the rules, we manage the court structure. We help set it so that in Corinth and Pascagoula, they're going to follow the same rules of law when you go into that courthouse and you have a legal case. And so that's what we want. We want to provide lawyers with information so they can advise clients. And if we have to go to court, we can go to court in an orderly manner and make the decision that's based on facts and law.
You know, back in the fall, leading up to the judicial elections, I had a chance to, I think, visit with all of the Supreme Court candidates that were running. It was an equal time thing. And I don't know that I was, at that moment, or at least when I first saw that I was ready to interview judicial candidates, because what do you talk about? Because it's not a Republican thing or a Democrat thing. And so I had to kind of learn how to ask questions that I thought made sense. And, you know, in talking with Jennifer Branning and others about, you know, the way you approach this, one of the things that I ended up asking every candidate, and I'm curious your answer on this as you sit on the Supreme Court, when you view the Mississippi Constitution, what does it mean? Is it a living, breathing document that is evolving over time, or is it this was written and it was written to stand the test of time? And there was a lot of looking into the future from the bench perspective.
Right.
As you rule on cases, what's the way that you interpret that?
You know, that's a great question. That's a big discussion, especially nationwide. I mean,
right.
Antonin Scalia, one of his things was talking about is, do we have a living constitution, or do we interpret it based on the words that were used in the time that they were used? I don't know if you've ever read the Mississippi Constitution, but I encourage you to do so. It will put you to sleep if you're having
all right.
problems.
I did a homework project in late July. I'm glad.
You can go to
glad
Secretary of State's website. We've got a copy of it for you there. There's some good provisions in it. Our Constitution follows a lot of the Bill of Rights of the United States. In fact, our Constitution means something. It's not simply subservient to the United States Constitution. It's exactly what Mississippians, now in 1890, and we had some issues then. And
say so.
And in some of the amendments since then, you know, back in the 80s, there was a big push to have a constitutional convention. And I've spent time and looked at those documents, and they were talking about doing some big things to our government. You know, we've got a lot of waste in government. We got a lot of things you shake your head at. Why do we have a circuit clerk and a chancery clerk? Why do we have a chancery court and a circuit court? And, you know, justice court, exactly what happens in justice court. And all of that's defined by our Constitution. And that sets the structure. And then our Constitution, at least for the judiciary, gives the members of the legislature the authority to add other courts. And this happened in the CCID courts. If you remember, part of that is they created a position, and the legislation made that position the equivalent of a circuit court judge. Well, the Constitution said that you can appoint lower or inferior courts, and that's part of the reason that portion of the CCID bill was struck down, was because the legislature did not have the authority to confer the exact same jurisdiction as a circuit court judge. Now, they could provide an inferior court if they wanted to, and they did that with what we call the CCID court right now that's operational and is doing really good work to help in Jackson. So we don't get caught up in a lot of constitutional questions, but we do have some constitutional questions. And for me, the starting point is going to be the words that are used. It's not up for me to dream up how I can interpret it in a way. And that's really a rule of law issue. And I feel like I'm a rule of law judge. I'm a smart guy. I could be creative. My job is not to be creative. My job is to read the words, apply it to the situation. And sometimes, I haven't spent much time thinking about what they're doing in 1890, but, I think the fair first started in 1891. And so,
just add Sid Salter. He was here that year. So
yeah, Sid was on stage. So
we want to keep giving Sid a hard time. Visiting with Kenny Griffis, Mississippi Supreme Court Justice, District 1, Place 1. You hear so much conversation right now about weaponization of the justice system, primarily at the federal level, but as a member of the court. As somebody who is sitting on a state-level Supreme Court, what's your take on that?
Well, back again, it's what's being defined. The code words are being used, rule of law. And we always talk about, at least lawyers, we say you can sue anybody for anything anytime you want to. Well, that's not really true. We as a Supreme Court have to guard the jurisdiction of our courts to make sure there are proper cases that are going before courts. We don't have a say in what's happening on the national level, but it is troubling when the president takes actions and some judge in New Mexico can stop, and make
an unelected judge in New Mexico.
A universal injunction. And the Supreme Court dealt with this. I mean, we're going through, if I were going back to constitutional law, this is a great time in constitutional law because the Supreme Court's making a lot of decisions that affect that. So there are concerns, depending on which side of the aisle you're on.
Sure.
I'm not in national politics. It gets back to Mississippi. I mean, I don't think we've had the lawsuits trying to run things for the governor. But it's one of the things, I want to talk about today. I mean, we've had a lawsuit. Mississippi was involved in the opioid litigation, and we're receiving $370 million. And one of the things I want to see is make sure that part of that money goes to treatment for our kids and people in our intervention courts. And that was litigation that brought that, but that identified some issues in the opioid industry. Now, the question is, what do we do with that money? I think our legislature will have to decide that, but they need to use it in ways that's going to help make us drug-free. Will we be ever drug-free? No. But we need to keep fighting the war on drugs because that's hurting a lot of our citizens.
Kenny Griffis, one of the speakers today at the on the roster. In fact, about less than an hour from right now. 30 seconds left until the break. You mentioned the opioid crisis. What else is on the what are the other bullet points?
Well, this isn't an election year for us. I want to talk about our youth courts and the good work our youth court judges and referees do. I want to talk about the opioids. I want to talk about a couple of announcements. We're changing our bar exam. We've had fewer and fewer lawyers take the bar. We've made some good improvements with our MEC and our online filing. So I think our judiciary is moving in the right direction. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Kenny, thanks so much for your time. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, Rich.
I forgot about the band. I forgot that was part of this, and I just had chill bumps. It's like football season is almost here. Quick timeout. We got more coming up with you from the Neshoba County Fair. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
Wake up! Wake up! Rise and shine!
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross.
Nice early morning surprise.
On SuperTalk Mississippi.
I keep hearing it's hot around here. I just hadn't gotten there yet. What a great start to the day, Thursday morning. The next to last day of the 2025 Neshoba County Fair. This is day 2 of the political speeches. They get started at 9 o'clock this morning with the Honorable Jennifer Branning, followed by honorable for everybody, okay? Kenny Griffis, Mike Randolph, Keither Stamps from the Public Service Commission. And then at 9:40 this morning, State Treasurer David McRae will take the stage. He joins me right now. I was telling you when you sat down, I think the first conversation you and I ever had in person was here at the fair 2 or 3 years ago.
I think it was. This is where I met you. You hadn't taken over your job quite yet. And I love the band. The band in the background is great. But, yes, this is the first place we ever met and talked. So kind of a reunion of sorts.
I had not seen the band sneaking in and forgot that was part of the morning repertoire. I heard that first note, and I was like, whoa, football season's close.
Well, football season's a couple weeks away at this point? I mean, somebody told me there's an NFL preseason game coming up soon. So, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous.
I think that's this weekend, Hall of Fame weekend and all that coming up.
But I am ready for college football to start. I mean, it will be nice.
Is it nice to be in a non-election year? I mean,
it is.
You got into year 2 of the administration, and so the vibe at the fair in particular is a little different this year.
Well, you always get to enjoy the fair, and it's always fun to come up here and see people, from all over the state. Some I see just once a year, some I see several times a year. But, yeah, on a non-election year, it's a little relaxed. I mean, you really can kind of explain everything you've been doing for the last year. Kind of when people hear me speak today, they're going to hear kind of a state of the Treasury address of kind of like what we've been doing since I stood up here a year ago. Yeah. And that's kind of what that's just, I think, good for people to hear about what, their taxpayer dollars are going towards at the Treasury.
I have not seen your speech notes. Something tells me you're going to talk about a lot of money that the Treasury has made through sound investments, and I'm guessing you're going to tell people about money that has been returned to taxpayers through the
We are. We're going to talk.
Recovery program.
We're going to talk about unclaimed money. We're going to talk about college savings. We're going to talk about our investments and everything, and what we've talked about on the radio, but a little bit more detail, and what they let me talk about in 10 minutes. But and everything. But we got some great stories at the Treasury. We're doing everything we can to get money back to the people of Mississippi. We've hit $140 million, and in a couple days we're going to hit $150 million.
Wow,
that's a record for any treasurer in the history of Mississippi. Our investments are killing it, and we're just blowing and going.
Hey, Lance, you remember the which hair product it was a few years ago where they said I'm not just the president, I'm the client? Well, was that like Hair Club for Men or something like that?
Yeah, that was the.
There's a point here.
Maybe.
I
thought we were talking about
whatever. It was.
Well, I don't know what you're saying about my hair.
No, it's not about you. This is about me, because I feel like for the unclaimed money thing, I can be like, I'm not just a spokesman, I'm a client.
You are actually one of the best spokesmen we have, because I think the first time I ever met you, when we sat here, or maybe it was in studio or whatever, you mentioned something about unclaimed money and how you have it, or had it, or just how you had used it before and it was easy. And I'm happy to tell you we have $700 for you.
And I am excited about that. I was mentioning that to Lance yesterday. So I the last time you were on, because I'd done it before, which I think is a reminder that just because you look at that website once doesn't mean you shouldn't go back 3 or 4 years down the line and take another look. But I filled it out. It was really simple, and then got the deal back, and like 4 different claims that are out there.
It is. It's real simple, and that's what we've made it do. When I stood up there in 2019 and said I wanted to make life easier, I wanted to make the government easier, I wanted to make it more like a business, that was one of the big things. We hit the ground running on day one. And I had a great unclaimed money team who believed in that mission. Yeah. And they believed, hey, let's put this all online in terms of how to file your claim. Let's get rid of the paper. But if you still want to do paper, of course, we'll do it. But let's just do it online, because you could easily search your name while you're just sitting around doing nothing. I mean, and there you go. And as a result, that's how we've gotten back in a couple of days $150 million. I mean, and that's a huge economic stimulus for the state of Mississippi.
Yeah. One of the things about the fair is there is it's not even underground. It's a front porch rumor mill, and people are talking about governor and who's going to be in the race, and all of the different offices, and You're not naive to this. Your name comes up from time to time about other offices. Where are you? I mean, I know right now your feet are where you are in the Treasury's office, but what's on your mind, big picture?
Well, I'm like Mike Cheney. I'm not running for governor.
Okay.
So,
good to know.
That is out of that.
David
is out
McRae, not a candidate for governor in 2027.
So that will be about 100 less, one of 100 less people running for governor at this point. So at that,
I asked Sid Salter earlier this morning. I'm curious if you'll give me a straight answer on this. When it's all said and done, a year from now, that may not be all said and done. How many candidates will there be in the Republican primary for governor?
I can think in my head at the moment at least 6.
Okay.
In my head, 6, and I'll keep those to myself. But
he went with 4.
I can think of 6.
Okay.
6 in my head today. All right. But it's 2 years from now.
I say it's a long way away.
It's 2 years from now, and I got 2 years to do my job that I have as treasurer, and I want to do it the best I can. The people of Mississippi elected me to be treasurer, and I got 2 years left to do it at least. And from there, I have my eye on a couple things, and whether that's state or somewhere else. So.
Well, when you get ready to share what those other things are, I know a place you can tell everybody.
I'll be more than happy to do it.
The invitation is open. You are welcome to break that news here whenever the time is right.
But I got 2 years left to do the job I was elected to do. I'm going to do it the best I can and continue to break records, continue to make money for the state, and we'll see where the life takes me after that.
A couple of minutes left. I know we, from time to time, talk about college savings. It feels like a reasonable time to talk about that as well as we get closer to the start of a new year. You hope that parents or grandparents are doing planning because college is not getting any less expensive.
No, it's not. In fact, every single university last year or this year will be raising their rates to a new level. Yeah. In September, when we reopen up our impact savings, since we shut it down every summer to reevaluate the prices.
Sure.
I am happy to say we had a college savings meeting the other day since we last talked. We will not be raising rates on our college savings program, despite the fact that college tuition is going up. And that's because a couple of years ago when I first got in, we raised it just a tad so that we could preemptively get ready for college tuition prices going up. Because we kind of saw that coming down the line in other states. And so we wanted to make it, a little bit more expensive on the front end. But now for 3 years straight, we have not had to raise rates as a result.
I know it's a moving target to answer this exactly, but if you have somebody, a child that was born in the last year or last couple of years, your grandparent, parent, and you're maybe thinking long term, what are those payments like now if you do the kind of spread it out over 18 years going into a child's when they begin college?
Well, it depends on the grade in which they're in, and there's a large chart online at treasury.ms.gov, and all that information's there. So it depends on if they're newborn, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, and up.
So the earlier you start, the smaller the payments
are. The earlier you start, the better it is.
Right.
I mean, by far, because you're building in, like let's say you have a newborn today, you're building in 15 years because, kindergarten and everything else included. So not just first through 12th. And you're building everything in, so it will be cheaper if you start them as soon as they're born.
Right.
And it gets a little bit more expensive every year to where it becomes even the most expensive. And we have some people do it in 12th grade. Very few, but they still do it. But it is affordable. The prepaid one is worth the price because if college costs $1 today, it's going to cost $1 tomorrow. And then Mac one, which is open still, you can just start putting money down for the future. I mean, and that can be used for so many things.
Well, and maybe the people that aren't familiar with the program, what you do when you start one of these accounts is you guarantee today's tuition price.
That's right.
For whenever it is that your child goes to school. And I don't know that we can look at a chart and find a year where it has gotten less expensive to go to college.
It's not. I mean, and there is no chart. And if you can find one, I'd be amazed.
Yeah.
But, I mean, college will cost more today than it will 10 years from now. And I can guarantee you, other than death and taxes, the other guarantee in life is college tuition will go up.
Yeah.
And so if you start a newborn out today, it's definitely going to be more expensive in 18 years.
Sure.
So, I mean, and really, this impacts so many decisions because without a college tuition plan, you are looking at least $36,000 worth of debt upon that child's graduation if you just pay for it.
Yeah.
Or take student loans. And we have a great fiscal way to do it that is, I think, the best way and one of the best programs. And, one thing I always get are these plans solvent? Are they safe? And they are. They're 135% funded, and the old plan's 101% funded. So, these are well-funded plans, well-safe plans to invest in.
Well, that's part of what you've done in your time in office is make sure that those plans are where they are supposed to be so that they can work in perpetuity, because it hasn't always been like that. So I think certainly reassuring for those that have invested in it to hear that, hey, it's fully funded and we're good to go.
Well, and they're fully funded. We don't have to worry about the legislature, having to bail us out or anybody wondering, hey, is my child honestly going to have that in 18 years?
State Treasurer David McRae, he'll be speaking at 9:40 this morning here in Founders Square as we continue from the Neshoba County Fair. When we come back, Secretary of State Michael Watson joins the conversation. Stick with us. More coming up. Thanks so much for your time.
I appreciate it, sir.
Great to see you.
From the SuperTalk.
Hey,
Ladies and gentlemen,
here we go. Now back to Mornings with Richard Cross.
Now that's entertainment.
SuperTalk Mississippi, live from the Neshoba County Fair. Mornings with Richard Cross. The sun is up, and people have finally gotten out of bed this morning. This has gone from really, really quiet about 6:15 this morning to starting to bustle about. I got to tell you about a moment. As we were coming back from the break, there was a young lady who asked my next guest if he thought he could handle all the questions here. And I want to answer her question for you. He will absolutely handle the questions because there is nobody who uses more words to say less than my good friend, Secretary of State Michael Watson, who joins us this morning.
Appreciate that plug.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
I
didn't realize your mic was on.
I am great, and this weather is fantastic for now, so we hope it holds up for a couple more hours, and I doubt it will, but fun to hear the band this morning. Got me fired up. Getting ready for a little football season. Tonight's the first game, Hall of Fame game.
Is that tonight?
Tonight. Yeah.
And then because it used to always be right after the ceremony, but I guess they've moved it in front now.
Yep.
And so
it is tonight. So fired up about that.
I am the Hall of Fame game is not appointment viewing for me. I like that football's back.
Agreed.
A lot.
But Trey Harris is playing,
which is really cool.
No.
And that maybe makes it appointment viewing. I will tell you. I told you when you walked up, I was not paying attention and kind of forgotten that the band does their thing in the morning before the speeches started. And when I heard that first horn, it transported me to a different place, and I had chill bumps that went up and down my arms. I'm like, oh, we are so close to football season.
That's right.
This is fantastic. How long have you been coming to the fair?
Gosh, I think I started back in law school. I always knew about the fair. My mom's from Noxapeto, just down the road here, so we always knew about the Neshoba County Fair, and actually went to the Choctaw Fair more than the Neshoba County Fair. And then in law school, Joey Kilgore, our friend, dear friend, was a roommate of mine, and so he said, man, you got to come. And so that started a long run, and actually probably up until about Katrina. I came every year, and then after Katrina started, obviously, a lot of things going on. So
yeah.
This was not on one of my priority lists, but back to it, 6 years ago now? So 2019, and hadn't missed it since.
Yeah, it's I brought my daughter this time. She's 15, and she'd mentioned, she's like, I'd like to go to the fair sometime and see it, and she's heard about it. And last minute yesterday, I was like, hey, you want to go? And she's like, and then she's like, sure. And she kind of got more excited about it, and watching her kind of walk around and see things here for the first time was kind of neat.
Yeah.
Because it is an eye-opening experience, and it is incredibly unique, and there's kind of something for everybody at the fair. Like if politics is your thing, you got the politics. If horse racing is your thing, or fair-style rides is your thing,
music,
or never leaving the porch. Like it's all available to you in this really unique community.
It's Americana at its finest, the best of Mississippi. Just family, friends, reuniting. Seeing folks that you grew up with out here, and just the experience about what the great things that our state offers is it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you were on the roster to speak today, up at 10 o'clock this morning. What are the topics? Kind of just bullet points.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about our work in elections. Obviously it's important to talk about the work we've done to make sure that folks know there's integrity in the process. And we've actually just climbed about 15 spots in the national rankings for election integrity since our administration has come in. Really fired up about that.
How is that measured?
So there's a group that basically takes apart what types of laws do you have in place for elections? Do you do post-election audits? The different types of things that really bring transparency, but also bring the idea that, look, we've got somebody in office that's paying attention to what's going on. So we talk about making sure all United States citizens are voting. We talk about making sure we've got a paper verifiable trail with our machines. We talk about testing our machines. We talk about the different things that goes in to making sure people can trust that when they walk into that booth, the vote that they cast is the vote that's going to be counted. So Mississippi has been one of the national leaders, and so much so that we got invited by the Trump administration. They asked me to put together a group of working secretaries of state to how do we implement our executive order? The executive order he put out really early on in the administration targeted at election integrity. And so it's been fun to work with the White House. Just got back from my third meeting Tuesday night. Got back around midnight up into Columbus. Great airport, by the way. And it's so fun to sit down with the folks from DHS, the folks from Intergovernmental Affairs, the folks from White House Policy, White House Counsel, DOJ, the different folks that we've been able to meet with and walk through this executive order and say, look, how can states use the tools that the federal government has to better clean their voter rolls, to make sure they've got clean and fair elections? And so it's been fun to know that they listen. And there's been some constructive criticism. It hadn't all been, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. There's been some, look, you've got some state laws that may kind of interact here a little bit differently. You've got to think about that. There are 50 laboratories of freedom out there that sometimes they don't all fit in the same box. And I think it's been a great exercise for the secretaries that we've pulled in to work with the White House to walk through that.
When you read the stories and hear the stories about redistricting, like happening in Texas, being discussed in California, although I think there's some challenges in California that exist to I don't know how much of that's Gavin Newsom bluster and how much of it is actually legitimately possible. Does that make you cringe, or do you understand that that's part of the political game, if you will?
Yeah, it's part of the process. And look, here in Mississippi, the legislature draws their own lines, and there was a challenge here as well.
There was.
And so we've got special elections coming up on Tuesday, so make sure you go vote if you're in one of those districts. But, it's part of the process. And there's a lot of questions about that, Richard. And we talk about the census. We talk about should all United States citizens be counted in the census. I believe firmly that's a yes. I don't think that these states that have opened their...
I want to believe that, but is that what the Constitution specifies?
I believe it is, but we can have that debate another day. So I think you're going to see that debate come alive.
Because isn't the language all persons versus all citizens?
Yeah, but when you talk about what is the purpose of the census?
No, I'm completely on. Yeah. Like, I want to say, yes, let's only count American citizens because those are the only votes that should matter.
Right. Which those are the votes that the benefits of being a United States citizen should be applied to and received by. So, again, that's a bigger conversation. But to your point of redistricting, the census, there's so many things out there that people sometimes just get sick of because it's political tricks again. Yeah. And it's part of the process, and that's why it's so important to elect good people to office. Folks that are there for the right reason. Folks that aren't there to build their name, but they're there to build a country and to represent their constituents.
I was having a conversation with Kenny Griffis earlier this morning, and he's in a judicial position, and so those are nonpartisan elections. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Right.
We know how those work. You are in an office where you can run as a Republican or as a Democrat. You obviously are a Republican, and that's well known. And yet, the Secretary of State's office kind of needs to be nonpartisan, doesn't it?
I would say it is the most looked at as far as from a nonpartisan perspective. Elections should be fair, period. For Republicans, for Democrats, for independents, for libertarian, whoever it is. So, yes, while we do run as a Republican, and that's why you've seen me stay out of elections. I was the only statewide election, I believe, and statewide elected official that stayed out of the presidential. I wanted to make sure people understood we may know where Michael leans, we may know how he's going to vote, but as an official, as a state elected official, it's my job to make sure we got clean and fair elections. So I wanted to make sure that people didn't have that question. Hey, he's here to run a fair election, period.
Yeah.
So,
I know you're not going to answer questions about the future, but you also don't have your head buried in the sand. You know people
Sure.
are talking. I don't know that there's a place in Mississippi where there is more political rumor than right here. And frankly, it's part of the reason that that lots of people come to the fair. They enjoy the political rumor and what's going to be next. How do you balance the whole, I got a job to do versus whatever the future is going to be?
You know, Governor Barber would always say, good policy is good politics. And so keeping your head down for the next couple of years, making sure that I finish
this is such a
goals.
rehearsed answer.
No, it's not. I'm telling you, it's true. The things are going to.
You were right there with the Haley Barber quote. And
look, there's time. You got a lot of folks that are going to hop out early, and I get that. I've always said when there's an opportunity that exists where I think I could do more good, then I'll take a hard look at it, pray about it, get a piece about it. And I think we've probably got a route that I feel like is the right move for us. That said, I still think it's early. I still think a lot of things can happen, and I still have a job to do. So
sure.
I want to keep my head down and finish strong. I think Mississippians appreciate somebody that understands they have a job to do. I think that they understand. I've been committed to the idea that I work for Mississippi. You know, I'm not here to make a name for myself. I'm here to do a job, and we get calls every day from folks all across this state. Hey, I need help with this. I need help with that. And I love it. That's why I'm in public service.
Yeah. As a political observer and a somebody that enjoys the sport of politics,
sure.
if you will,
sure.
What do you make of Andy Gibson announcing so far out?
You know, I think
800-ish days until Election Day. I mean, that is a long race to run.
I think the conversation in general is there are a few names that have been carved out saying these are going to be your candidates. One of them being an individual that's going to have a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's been a successful businessman, Tommy Duff. And so I think you've got folks that are trying to position themselves. If I can catch
he has
lightning in a
signs
bottle.
here, but not for any office. It says Duff Pack over there.
I saw those signs right next to mine. Glad to see that up there. But
sure, that's coincidence.
Well, look, I think he thought, let's get out early and try to catch lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
And sometimes that happens.
I know it's an
sometimes it
interesting
doesn't.
strategy. It's not a strategy that everybody subscribes to, but he, like Andy Gibson, a lot.
I look forward to seeing all my friends.
Absolutely. Michael Watson, thank you for your time. Always good to see you.
You too, buddy.
We'll wrap it up next.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
It's time to switch on.
Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Substitution, mass confusion, clouds inside your head.
One last time with you. What a morning it's been. Thanks for being with me. If you've been with us since 6 o'clock this morning or you just jumped on board somewhere between the start of the show and now, appreciate you joining in on the conversation. I mentioned it earlier. My apologies for those of you connecting on the C Spire text line at 601-879-4395. Kind of hard with conversations one after another to get to some of your messages, but I will certainly go back and look at those. We're glad to be with you as we move toward the end. I will tell you, and Lance, just heads up, get ready to
I'm ready.
Pop up out of your chair. We are in the general time range for when the band may play the national anthem, and if they do, we're just going to stand and we're going to carry it for you because it feels like that's the right thing to do, I think. So you can kind of hang with us through that if that pops up, but we abruptly stop things for a second. I do want to remind you that the football season is almost here, so Sports Talk Mississippi. Boys about to embark on the not fall camp tour in Oxford, Starkville, and Hattiesburg. That starts next Wednesday at the library in Oxford. The following Wednesday, the 13th of August, it'll be at Two Brothers Barbecue and Smoked Meats in Starkville. And then on August 20th, we will wrap things up at Ed's Burger Joint in Hattiesburg for that afternoon. The Not Fall Camp Tour is presented by Pearl River Resort, your destination for casino thrills, family fun, and live entertainment. Big day coming up here at the fair. The speaking lineup, 3 Supreme Court justices to start things off with Jennifer Branding, Kenny Griffis, Mike Randolph. DeKeither Stamps will speak at 9:30 this morning, Public Service Commissioner for the Central District. Then you've got David McRae, Willie Sammons from the Transportation Commission, Michael Watson at 10 o'clock, Attorney General Lynn Fitch at 10:10, Speaker of the House Jason White at 10:20, and then the Governor Tate Reeves at 10:30. So full lineup of speakers today, and I was not here yesterday, Lance, so maybe this is a daily thing, but there is a little heavier law enforcement presence and a little heavier Mississippi Highway Patrol presence this morning, which reminds you that the Attorney General and the Governor and the Speaker of the House are here. All right, National Anthem from Founders Square at the Neshoba County Fair. All right, and that will get the political speeches going. I got to tell you, it was really cool. I was kind of looking across Founders Square, kind of scanning from south to north, and you could see people on front porches, up on balconies, standing around. It's like whatever anybody was doing, everybody just froze when they heard the national anthem start. You had kids that were hands over hearts, and what a cool deal. What a cool event. It's a great time in the state of Mississippi. There's a lot of good that is happening, and this is a little bit different year. Now, the political theater that goes on at the Neshoba County Fair, you know, where you have a gubernatorial candidate threatening to go behind the woodshed and whip another candidate's rear end. That's great, right? You can't make that stuff up. That's fantastic. But it's also nice in an off year to kind of take a breath a little bit, and it's kind of a chill environment at the fair this year. And I want to say thank you to a couple of folks. First of all, the Fair Commission, the Fair Board, they have hosted us. Scott Bounds and his entire team, so very good to us, generous to us to give us the spot on Founders Square, and it's a pleasure for us to kind of bring this to you. And also, we got to have juice to make this work, not just power, but internet juice. And Max South, which is heavily involved in this part of the state of Mississippi, has been very generous in making sure that we had the fiber and the bandwidth that we needed to have Gerard's show yesterday, this morning, and then Gerard again this afternoon. So a reminder that Middays with Gerard Gibbert coming up starting at 10 o'clock. He's got a bunch more interviews coming your way. And then he's going to, I was told he's going to duck out a little early at the very end of his show. Sid Salter's going to finish things up for Gerard because Gerard's playing with the house band this afternoon. So the legislators that are part of the band, they're playing this afternoon as well. So you can come by and visit, take in the Neshoba County Fair yourself as well. Appreciate all of our guests. Lance, good to be with you. Houston and Alex, thank you so very much. I will be back with you on Monday morning. Thanks for being with us on Mornings with Richard Cross. SuperTalk Mississippi. Have an outstanding day and weekend.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.